Secretary General of the United Nations has talked about the idea of demilitarizing that nuclear plant in Zaporizhzhia. Does the United Nations have any power to enforce anything like that?
Absolutely not. If the Russians say that they're not going to let the United Nations demilitarize the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, it won't happen. And that effectively is where we are today, because although Antonio Guterres has said on numerous occasions, including today, that it should be demilitarized, it's in the interests of nuclear security, in the interests of world security, Russia repeated again today that it is not going to allow that to happen, that the security of the nuclear power plant would be endangered if the Russians were to pull their troops out of the area around the plant, including inside the plant. So it will not happen. It's another matter whether Russia will allow the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, to go to carry out an inspection at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. At the moment, they seem to be prevaricating on that. The Ukrainians have said they absolutely want the IAEA to go to Zaporizhzhia and to carry out an inspection to see what's really going on there. And so it can be clear to the world community that it's not the Ukrainians that are firing at Zaporizhzhia. But the Russians, again, are making it unclear about whether they're going to let the IAEA in the UN today. Antonio Guterres said that the United Nations has the logistics and the security at its disposal in Kiev to make that happen, if it's allowed to make it happen. But so far, the Russians do not appear to be ready to play this, to allow this to go on.
And Rob, the other big discussion point today is those grain exports coming out of Odessa. There's been talk today of the need to speed that up ahead of winter. Is that viable on the ground in your view?
Yeah, I'm afraid the line is breaking up a bit here, but I think you're asking me about the situation with the grain exports from Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, they were talking about that today, and they do want to speed things up because at the moment there's an enormous capacity at the ports in Ukraine, which is not being utilized to anything like the full extent. At the moment, or very soon, when the harvest is fully brought into the silos and warehouses of the Ukrainian ports around Odessa, there will be at least 45 million tons of grain and other foodstuffs that will need to be shipped out. At the rate things are moving at the moment, that's going to take a very long time. Even at the normal pre-war rate, it would take a long time. A few months ago, before the war started, they were sending about 100 ships a month from Ukrainian ports and about 5 million tons of grain. Even at that rate, it would take well into next year to clear all that grain and other foodstuffs out of Odessa port and to help the situation of food shortage around the world. But at least they have to start speeding things up. And at the moment, although there does seem to be a certain amount of goodwill at the moment on the Russian side, they don't seem to be making an awful lot of progress. Although, Antonio Guterres said today, 21 ships have gone. That's about 500,000 tons. And Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the Turkish president, spoke of 25 ships with 600,000 tons. At least that is making things happen. It's bringing the price of wheat, for instance, around the world down, and it's helping a little bit, in places around the world, including our first shipments to Africa, to Ethiopia, but it's not enough.